Prin, thank you very much. Again, we welcome all of us here. We were together yesterday and we've been together um, on this. I think this is the fourth webinar on this. But before we go into all this, I want to wish all of us a happy new month. And the month of May is quite symbolic in the whole of Africa because it is the African month, as designated by the African Union and UN. Everybody knows that it's in the month of May that people talk about Africa, that African issues are kept on the front burner, just like it's done in March for women. May is for Africa. And in whenever anything about Africa is being discussed or being is on the table, AfLIA will always want to ensure that the librarian's agenda is also a part of what is on the table. We 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 always want to show up so that librarians will not be forgotten in Africa. You know, we we are we are how do I put it? We are useful people, but most of the times we are behind the happening scene. It's as if we are at the back and the other people are doing other things in front. But AfLIA want librarians to also be a part of what people see and hear and know that they exist. Instead of just being, oh, librarians are there, libraries are there, we want to be a part of the main agenda. And that is why we chose the month of May for joining the global One Librarian, One Reference campaign. And it's very intentional. It's very intentional for African librarians because we want to use this period we started in 2020 and we've had an impressive run, but we do not want to drop the baton. We want to continue. We want to grow stronger. And that is why this year we said, instead of having just 1 week within the one lib, one ref window, let us have 1 month to really ensure that things about African knowledge are brought to the fore by African librarians. So I'm going to do like a very fast summary of what we've been discussing since we started last month in April. So we said that is Library Activism Month, and that what we're interested in doing is to showcase the skills of librarians, showcase who we are, so that we can have a better tomorrow. And it's quite easy to feel within yourself, I'm doing a great job. Oh yeah, libraries are great places. Yes, libraries are important. Without libraries, you can't do this. Without libraries, you can't do that other one. But sometimes we need to tell ourselves the truth. And that truth is that if you never say you are, nobody will say thou art. If you don't project yourself and say, here I am, these are the things that I do as a librarian. These are the things we do. They'll just feel that, well, you may be there, but nobody knows about it. So that is what this is all about. So just like I said, this is a summary of the things that we've been talking about since last month. And then we also say that collective action matters. See, no tree, however good and big and mighty it is, can make a forest. We need to have a collective voice. Honestly, I appreciate AfLIA, not just because I work for AfLIA now. Before I started working with AfLIA, I told people I was all over the place promoting AfLIA, because having that platform, having that platform that can project a collective voice is very important for African librarians. If not, it will just be this library association in that country. They'll say their own and go and sit down. Another one will say and go and sit down. But AfLIA brings the entire continent together. The entire continent of library professionals. It brings all of us together as one. And right now, AfLIA has membership in 34 African countries. That tells you the reach of AfLIA. That tells you that, within AfLIA, you can network and find other professionals that are doing the same kind of thing that you're doing, and that helps us a lot. So that is why it's important that we maintain this a collective voice, especially for this Library Activism Month. And I remember that we had defined, or we had explained activism as raising your voice, campaigning for a social good, for social justice, for change of behavior, for that is for anything. But the important thing is it is campaigning for a good cause, and it can be done through so many avenues. But we are saying that we are going to do an online campaign, and an online campaign that will let the world know that African librarians are sharp and smart professionals, and that we know what is trending now, that we know what we are supposed to know. So that is what this is all about. And then we went on to say that this is the time for change. Honestly, I can tell you, if you go to some countries now, libraries are being shut down. Then you ask yourself, how many the budget that we get, the funding that we get, is it ever enough? Do people really understand what it is that we do? How many of our young librarians are finding jobs because people know that, oh, we have this skill set that everybody needs in their organization? How many of them? And we say this is the time for change. We say that changing the status quo or mindsets or perceptions, it's never easy. It's never easy, and that is why we need that collective voice, so that to be loud enough. And then we asked, why do we need library activism? Why? If you can do me a favor, just a small favor now, just write within the chat box, why do you think that people need to hear more about libraries? Why do you think that Africa needs to recognize the fact that librarians are important people? Why do you think that we need to be heard? We need to be seen? Please just write it in the chat box. I'll come back to that now. But why do you think that we need library activism? Why is it that you think that libraries must be seen? Librarians must become kind of loud and not be silent and so cautious behind the scenes? Why is it that we need to be heard now? Please write your answer in the chat box. I'll get to that. And I want to let us know we have the power. We have the power to change things. Sometimes when you sit down in your chair or in your office, in your house, you feel, I wrote that letter. I tried. Nobody listened to me. I've been trying, nobody is listening to me. But I want to tell you now that we have the power as a collective voice, as people that are working towards one particular purpose. I want to tell you that we have the power. Our voice can be loud enough. We've done it before. Yes, and we will continue to do it. But I want to assure you that don't feel that any edit that you're going to make or anything that you're going to do is not just this small thing. You feel that is inconsequential. No, I want to tell you, we have the power. Just keep this in mind. We have the power. Then, so how do we go about this activism this time around? And we said it is through democratization of knowledge, promoting it. And what do we mean by that? People say, what is that? I believe that I hope that we'll send you all our slides that we've used before, and the recordings. And I got this from the slides we have used before. I got all of this from them. So, but when you democratize knowledge, it means opening up knowledge in such a way that it is free to use. Well, you say, yes, it's free to use. The things we see online, all of them are, yes, they are free to use. Reuse, I can quote it. Redistribute, I'm not sure. Without all these restrictions. Knowledge, there's a difference between open knowledge and free knowledge. If it's free, you can just download it and use it. That's quite okay. But when it is open, that means you can even adapt it. You can translate it. You can change a story into a poem. You can change a story into drama. That is when it is open. And that is what we want to campaign for. That let knowledge be open. And we are going to do it through a particular platform, through a particular platform. And that is why we said that you must have a Wikipedia account. So you can't do it without that account. And it's not difficult to do, but you need to have that account. That is the first one. Then we will teach you, how do you work with that account? How do you do it? What are the do's and the don'ts if you're going to work there? And why are we doing it there? Because Wikimedia projects like Wikipedia, it is openly licensed. I'm getting there. Let me not jump ahead. So I said open licenses underpin open knowledge. And now I want you to bear this in mind so that you don't get lost. Licenses within the knowledge ecosystems, they are all about how you can use somebody's intellectual property. Do you understand? Whether it is a book, a work of art, a drama, or anything. That is what licenses mean within the knowledge ecosystem. I'm rushing for a reason, because this is a summary. And now somebody will ask, copyright, open licenses. What's the connection? When you go through this slide here, you see it. See, open licenses do not mean that you do not acknowledge somebody's work. You will acknowledge it. But the work will give you permissions and restrictions on how you can use it. It can tell you, you can share this work anyhow you want it. You can translate it. You can adapt it. You can quote it. You can do anything. But one thing about open licenses is that there's a rule that is unchanged in open licenses. No matter the type, you must attribute the original source, and that protects the intellectual property. Copyright on its own says, somebody wrote this, and because that person wrote it, all the rights are reserved to that person or the publisher. You can't translate it. You can't adapt it. You can't use it anyhow without writing to that person and getting the express permission to do so. So you see the difference. So what AfLIA is saying, and what quite a large chunk of the world is saying now, is that knowledge is a public good. It is not a private property. However, when you create something, when you create knowledge, that you can license it in a way that your name will always appear as somebody that did it. But you allow others to build on it. You know why? Because no knowledge stands alone. Every knowledge, there's no knowledge that stands alone. There's nothing that you feel that you say, this one can stand alone. They are all in interconnections within the global body of knowledge. So that is why AfLIA is talking about that. And so we say that Wikimedia projects, that they are good, they're a good example of openly licensed things, openly licensed projects, and that we feel that is a place librarians can go in and excel. Why do we need to go there? I mean, what's the big deal? And I got this from the slide that Ingrid shared yesterday. I think I got around 4 slides from her slide deck. yesterday. The first one is that, see, I remember when I became a librarian in, what's that year now? 1987, before so many of us were born here, were born. And then one of the core things that we learned was that the reference section, reference books, encyclopedia in particular, that they are the first place you need to check when somebody comes with a reference inquiry. Somebody will come to ask you, who is the fastest man in the world? You can get it in the Guinness Book of Records. That's there in the reference section. Or you can, if you have current encyclopedias, you can get from there. So librarians and encyclopedias are like, it is like a basic work tool for libraries. Now, I said it yesterday that I think it was in 1980s. Britannica Encyclopedia stopped publishing its encyclopedia, physical ones that used to be so expensive. They went online. They're still online. Now, Wikipedia is an online encyclopedia. Not just an online encyclopedia. It keeps on growing. And you find out that the important thing is that libraries, Wikipedia, the important thing that they do is that they aim to bring that knowledge, information to their users. That's the quotation there. I've been told that my time is up. I'm rounding up. So these are the slides that we got from Ingrid yesterday. Please, if you don't have them, we'll still get to them. This slide from Ingrid, it really made my day. She said, think about this. How many patrons have you assisted in the last 3 months? How many people have visited your library in the last 3 months? But Wikimedia has served, look at it, 1 billion average per day, a day, 1 billion. How many people enter your library in 1 day? In 3 months, she asked. So what if we align forces with this resource? What if we go there and make it usable for us and make it more accurate about us and learn how to do all these things? So that is what AfLIA is trying to do with this campaign. And we don't want to do it maybe just train one person individually. Okay, that person there. No. We want to get as many African librarians as we can. And then in summary, it was Ingrid that also said this. She said that when librarians edit Wikipedia, that it aligns with our professional values, expertise, and our commitment to open access to information. That is just where I want to stop on this slide. Now, I want to stop sharing, and I'm going to the charts. I want to see why we think library activism is important. All right. Sunday Olatunji said because libraries play a significant role in achieving an information society. Libraries provide, according to Rajene, I don't want to mention that name now, but somebody said libraries provide service to help everyone. They hold culture and knowledge for everyone. Nina, hi Nina. Nina said because we do have skills in helping to access knowledge. We also have user-friendly spaces which can be used in so many different ways. Yes, that's true. Sunday Olatunji went on to say that information society is a society where the creation, distribution, diffusion, use, integration, and manipulation of information is at the center stage. Margaret says to be a part of what happens to the knowledge in the knowledge ecosystem. And Famous say that it's important to increase our visibility and showcase the services we offer and other things that we are able to do. Olabin, hello Olabin, it's been a long time. She said community engagement. My dear colleague, Margaret Kabanda, said that it advocates that for equal access to information and resources. Catherine Catherine Amia. Hi, Catherine. Says because libraries are the center of community development and so on. Then Jallo says library can get a voice by actively engaging with their communities through various channels and so on and so forth. Again, Rose said we need library activism to make people aware of current trends in our relationships and others. Then Maludin said it's because as a group of professionals, we need to sell the idea of how important we are to the society. Thank you for that. They need to know. Then Fofana said that because libraries are at the center of information and they need to play a more significant role in our communities. Ali, who said that it's necessary to raise awareness about the importance of libraries and their impact in the society. Nena said it's because it's essential for education and lifelong learning. Then Merit said because libraries and librarians remain relevant and impactful. And the Inyobong said that is to enlighten the library users. Usman Yaya said library is at the heart of any community. And those are the reasons and more why we need to have library activism. So you now understand. Some even understand more than me. Why? You see, Africa. Africa must know that librarians are important. And there are so many ways we could do that, but this is the one we are starting with. We want to let them know that African librarians, we can have enough skills to be a part of the global movement of Wikimedia and of this global one lib one ref, because it is done by libraries all over the world, and it will be somehow if Africa is not a part of it. I mean, why should Africa not be there? Why should our voices not be heard? And another thing too is that the knowledge about Africa, it is us Africans that should go and write it, not one other person from any other place. So that is what it is all about now. I hope that we all understand that. So remember, if you have any comments, questions, feel free to put in the chat box. So that is what we've done so far. And going forward, we'll still have 4 more webinars that will help people understand how do they translate, on Wikipedia, if their own languages are there. We'll have a speaker on that, I think, in 2 weeks' time. Then we have one on how do you contribute pictures and what are the laws, regulations for doing that within your country and globally. And which other one, I think, and we have another one too. So, it's going to be a month packed full of letting us learn, but also in learning, taking action. Not just to learn and say, hey, this was wonderful, I got this. No. Okay, oh yeah, okay, that's great, but what happens next? So we learn and we take action. And where we are going to take action is on Wikipedia, Wikidata, and Wiki Commons. I hope I got that all correct. Now, what we want to do today is to officially launch this, to now say this is May 1st, Workers' Day. Happy Workers' Day to all of us. And I hope that in the scheme of things, libraries will really be placed centrally, because libraries are doing awesome things in form of not just information access, data, then that's our space. Then professionals that have these IT skills, they are all inside libraries. So I hope that as the years go by, Workers' Day, libraries will really get that major center space so that they'll know that we are there. So today we want to launch this Library Activism Month officially. So we are going to launch it, and after the launch, we're now we'll go into editing. We're now going into how do you edit? Okay, you don't even have an account. How do you get an account? What are the do's and don'ts and so on? Now, to do the launch, like we say in my place in Nigeria, I crossed 7 oceans, all the big mighty oceans, Atlantic Ocean, Pacific Ocean. I crossed 7 oceans. I crossed 7 forests, big forests like that, 7 deserts, big ones like that, to go get this librarian. You see, sometimes when you know someone from afar, you just see the person, oh, she's this, oh, he's that. But I've had the rare opportunity to work with Rajene. She is the chair, listen, she is the chair steering committee, Wiki, Wikimedia Libraries User Group. I don't know if we know that group exists, a group on Wikimedia that brings all the libraries and librarians all over the world, the whole world together. Rajene is the chair of the steering committee. She's also the chief strategy officer of Wikimedia New York City. So, dear Rajene, I hand over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and Kim. I'm going to keep my. Can you hear me? All right.
Yes, I can, please. Yes, I can.
Keep my video off just because to get better clarity. And I just want to say I am with you 100%. I loved everything that you said to introduce this launch because I am very much a library person and I think you are on the right track and I hope everybody will join on this Activism Month. So good morning, everyone. It's definitely my pleasure to help usher and launch this 2024 African Librarian Activism Month. I love the title of activism and I'll talk a little bit about advocacy and activism in a minute. But just to introduce myself, I am chair of the Wikimedia and Library Steering Committee and have been for a few years, pre-pandemic and through now. And I work along with three other very dedicated people, Clifford Anderson, who is formerly of Vanderbilt University in the US and is now at Yale Divinity School Library. Orly Simon, who is Director of Public Services at the National Library of Israel, and of course our own Dr. Nkem Oswige, I hope I pronounced that right, who I know works tirelessly to bring the voices of all African librarians to the forefront in Wikipedia. Very happy to work with Dr. Nkem. It's very necessary because the world stage has changed and it's no longer really about the Western view of intellectual property and intellectual knowledge. It's we've all learned that it's everyone's voice is necessary in order for us to move forward. And I know that Wikipedia especially is very text-based. And that I think may come a little bit from the Western influence. And it's very English speaking and perhaps male dominated, but that's also changing now. And we are doing our part to change that. There's a lot to learn and do. So activism is a movement word. To me, there's no sitting down with activism. It's really like the next step to advocacy. Dr. Nkem mentioned, sitting on your couch and maybe writing a letter. That's a good thing to do. Talking to politicians, which I do here, worrying about the budget, which I understand. But advocacy is, thinking and planning what you can and cannot do and how you're going to present things. But activism to me is really about movement. It's really about taking things in your hand and saying, I'm going to get this done. So that's why I like the theme of this month of activism. For myself, I am chair of the Wikipedia Library Users Group. It's a user group of global Wikibrarians or librarians who use Wikipedia. I'm also a trustee for the Mid-Hudson Library System here in New York, which is a system of 65 libraries. I am strategy officer for Wikipedia New York City, and we've just hired our first executive director, which is great because it was all volunteer run. But I do write letters. We have Advocacy Day here in New York where everyone takes a bus and goes up to Albany, the capital of New York, and really tries to speak to politicians and lawmakers about why it's important to have budget and funding for libraries. So I do participate in that. I've organized many editathons, and I especially like to work with librarians, organize editathons for librarians. And I work in my community library, especially on things like Earth Day, art and feminism. So I'm very happy to be here. Other ways that I advocate, we talked about activism. So activism comes in many forms in this Wikimedia, Wiki universe, I call it. Librarians especially are good to step up because we're trained. We're trained in information science. We're trained in how to examine resources, help verify information in its many forms. And so librarians working alongside Wikimedians is a natural thing. I think people who are not librarians, but they are Wikimedians, can learn from us, and we can also learn from them. The one thing, and I think Dr. Nkem mentioned this also, is being open to and embracing the newbie, the person who doesn't really understand what Wikimedia is about and how Wikimedia and libraries work together. I was doing an Earth Day thing a few years ago, and I wanted to involve the children's librarian. So I was working with the adult librarian, and she came back to me and said, the children's librarian said, "What does Wikipedia have to do with libraries?" And I was kind of shocked. To me, it's obvious the synergy between Wikipedia, and libraries. So I feel that there are many, many people who just don't understand the value that Wikipedia and its open source allows all of us to share with our culture. So this is why workshops like this and the trainings that are going on this month are so, so important, because I agree 100% that Africa as a continent and the countries of Africa need to get their voice heard on Wikipedia as well as other places, because again, Wikipedia sort of grew from a Western male-dominated kind of technology kind of bunch of guys, but it's not that anymore. We have women in Wikipedia, we have all kinds of genders in Wikipedia, and we have many, many, many global aspects of Wikipedia. So what is happening around the world? So there's public libraries, and then there's academic libraries, and there's national libraries. I think with academic libraries, it's a lot of scholarly communication and collaboration. We'll talk about public libraries a little bit later. A couple of things that are actually still going on, how in terms of librarians reaching the global arena. They do beautiful things in Wikimedia. They build scanners and digitize books and share them with the world, organizing editathons and sharing collections and closing the gap of knowledge to achieve knowledge equity. Librarians organize campaigns and create hundreds of Wikipedia pages in multiple languages, sometimes even defying censorship. They give the world trusted references and impact on the millions of users, and I think we heard maybe 1 billion users per day, which is amazing. And librarians are fighting misinformation one reference at a time with one lib, one ref. Librarians teach information skills like fact-checking, and they do this with a 21st century open education resource, which is Wikipedia. Librarians train other librarians. We have conferences, and as a matter of fact, our Wikimedia Library Users Group will be having a conference in Mexico City for librarians, probably in January of 2025. And our theme will be disinformation as a threat, how librarians can provide resources to really clarify what is actually true, what is a fact, and that will be our theme for that. And we hope that many of you can join us there. Librarians also have space in the movement. There's a big movement charter that I think just closed yesterday in terms of having comments, but it will be ratified coming up in June. And the movement charter is all about different impacts that the Wikimedia movement can have on global user groups and chapters, and librarians can be part of that. We have Wikipedians in residence at some of the cultural organizations, and we make great partners. We have partners at the foundation, and we also have Sylvia Gutierrez, who is at the foundation, who helps us connect together, strengthen our affiliates, and just be a sounding board for what we do. So just a little bit about sort of coming with your own culture to Wikipedia. Wikipedians love to discuss and talk about what's right, what's the next thing to do, how things should be expressed. But when it comes to language translations, there are many fixes that are still necessary for Wikimedia, and it's still improving. But the cultural wisdom that comes from speaking and talking and writing in your own language, from your own culture, from your own ancestry, is really, really needed. I mean, we can get to the translations later. We can translate to English later and Spanish later, but to really get the language and the culture that is uniquely our own is very, very important. So we have the capacity to get it right, and we should do that. No matter what we may think the translation may come out, we should get it right from our own self first of all, and then worry about the translation later. So just to start, in our local communities, our local libraries, and then network with things that are agreeable between libraries within our local communities and our cities, and then in our countries, and then in our continents, and then across the globe. This is the way to start. I think that this is a wonderful thing going on this month. I'm happy to be here. I'm going to participate in some of the trainings. And just lastly, librarians like the thrill of the chase. It's like they want to go after, what is this information? How can I provide this information for others? How can I inspire others? And learning how to edit and use the various projects of Wikimedia is a great step forward. And lastly, I just want to say, don't forget about the person who doesn't really know that much about it. Please embrace the newbie and bring them in, because you never know when someone will be sparked to really contribute to Wikimedia and the Wikimedia projects. So I want to thank Dr. Nkem for inviting me this morning. I want to wish you all a wonderful month. I'll be there. It's a great thing. So thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You know, it's good to know that we are on the right path. Thank you for, I know it's quite early there. I don't think it's even up to 7 a.m. there now, but here you are speaking to us. Thank you. We really do appreciate this. Thank you very much.